Good morning, Claremont Center for Spiritual Living. How are you this morning? Yay is right. Look at all these happy faces sitting in the sun. Only some of you are sitting a little too close together. You know. We got to be safe. You know, you two could sit next to each other. You live in the same house. These people, however, you're fine, Emily. I am so glad to see you. I'm Reverend Tracy and delighted to welcome you to our Sunday morning service and to welcome those of you online that are joining us remotely. Please know that wherever you are, physically or distanced, online or in person, first-time visitor or long-time science minder, please know you are welcome here with us. We come together as a community to remember the truth of who we are, the greater expression of life that's available to all of us, and I am just so delighted to share it all with you. So this morning, our practitioner of the day is Mary Cordova-Breen. Yay, yes. Mary's one of our practitioners. She's also a ministerial student, almost ready to graduate. Almost, yes. Please know that our practitioners are here to serve you. They want to be able to support you in whatever this holiday looks like for you, and they are available by phone, or you can leave a message on our prayer line here at the office or send in an email request. However you choose to reach out, they will be delighted to know the truth for you in any way that serves you best. Because what we know is that together we create a consciousness that lifts up everyone. So I'm glad to have you take part in prayer support. That would be great. All right, so let's get started this morning. My bowl is not up front, so you're going to have to imagine the chime. Take a deep breath and close your eyes right where you are. And as you breathe, touch into that heart space, that place in the center of your being which knows the divine love, the true energy of all life, the nourishment of all that is. And let the words of our practitioner take you into that deeper place, that place of knowing only peace.
So as we begin this morning, we begin with gratitude and joy of just being here. Being healthy enough to come, having chairs that we could bring, having this beautiful sunshine, and a lovely, amazing garden to sit in. We know that all is well, even when it doesn't appear so. If we look around, we know that God is here and all is well. So in this gratitude, in this joy, in this beautiful garden and sunshine, we begin this morning together. So it is. And I'll go right into my reading. So George Bernard Shaw says, I want to be thoroughly used up when I die, for the harder I work, the more I live. I rejoice in life for its own sake. Life is no brief candle to me. It is a sort of splendid torch which I have got a hold of for the moment, and I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before handing it off to future generations. There is a story about a little girl who's looking out the window as her father is burying her pet rabbit that just died. And she's sobbing to watch this happen. Her mother gently walks over to her, puts her hand on her shoulders, and guides her to the other side of the house, where they look out a different window, where the garden, she can see the garden that they've just planted together, and the flowers are just sprouting up and just beginning to bloom. The first bloom is coming out, and the little girl just screams with delight and joy and dances up and down to see that first bloom. So that is our choice. Which window do we look out?
I love that story. Thank you. So I'm going to start by saying that this holiday season looks different. Have you noticed? Different than what we usually do, different than what we think we want to do, different than what we thought we would be able to do by now. It's just different. And as I was deciding what to speak about, I was struck by Facebook posting, because that's where I spend my spare time, is perusing all the things you post. There was a quote, and it said, "It's okay if right now it is not the most wonderful time of year." And sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't. And moment by moment, it can change, right? There's a anticipation and a joy and the usual excitement of getting things done and buying gifts for people, or however it is we're doing, even if it's from our couch on our phone doing Amazon. There's a certain element of holiday. And then in the next moment, it's canceling travel plans and rearranging the menu, because after all, there's only going to be 3 of you and not 30. And that huge wave of loss or disappointment or frustration or whatever it is, it just looks different. This season is a season of many holidays, all focused around light. And I came across a letter that Dr. Ken Gordon had written a couple years ago for the holidays. He is the former spiritual director of Centers for Spiritual Living. And he's writing about the season, and he says, since the beginning of humankind, this has been a season that celebrates not only the coming of light, but also the embracing of darkness. In other words, no matter which holiday traditions you celebrate, Christmas, Hanukkah, Bodhi Day, Kwanzaa, breaking of the fast, Yule, Saturnalia, the winter solstice, any of the others, it is a day to celebrate our wholeness, a day to embrace the totality of humankind, both individually and globally. He quotes Dr. Holmes in his Christmas prayer, which encourages us to let our minds be like a stable. In other words, that we include all of who we are as individuals and as a society in our love and our light. This wholeness is the true meaning of the season. This ability to see the divine in the ox and the lamb, as well as the babe in the manger, is the true meaning of a divine and sacred life. So this season, let it be a time that we put aside our critiques, our judgment, our prejudices, and embrace ourselves and others as complete. Give yourselves a break, people. We're doing the best we can. Let's uncover those parts that we secretly condemn as not being good enough and bring them into the light so that they may become part of the light rather than remain hidden in the shadows. See, there's a kind of a list in my head of what we're supposed to feel this time of year, right? This is happy time. This is tidings of comfort and joy. This is, excitement and lights and presents and kids, and isn't it lovely? And it's just not the same. Because the things that we normally do to generate those feelings within us are the things that we can't be doing this holiday. So what do we do? Where do we go? Where's the feelings of the tidings of comfort and joy when we're not allowed to create them the way we've always created them? We start with feeling the way we're feeling right now. Because what I know about our emotions is that they are the gateway to our spiritual heart. No matter what the emotion is, it always goes back to the heart. And that is where we start. Our theme this month in December is connections. All of the many ways in which we connect to ourselves, the way we connect with each other, the way we connect with a greater spiritual truth, the way we connect with our world. I'm looking for a little guidance and clarity in all of those areas on how to make connections given who and where we are today. And the title today is Feeling Our Way. Because I really believe that it's through the feelings that we access the divine spark, that power that lives within us. For what we know about life is that love is the power within. Love is the nourishment of life. It is the actual expression of life as we know it. And there are always more ways to love, to be loved, to express love. I've found myself saying several times in the last several weeks, pretty much since I realized we were not going to go home to New York for Christmas after all. It's the third time that trip has been changed. And I found myself saying, I could just cry. Like in the middle of the day, in the middle of the supermarket, walking the dog, I could just cry. And I thought, finally, it's like, what if instead of talking about it, I just cried? We create a little distance from our emotions when we use our minds too much, right? That mental science can get in the way of actually being human. And the human part of me needs the release. Because here's the truth. If I were to cry, it wouldn't last very long. It would pass, and chances are I'd feel better. So what are you walking around holding on to? Clenched in your jaw, or keeping you awake at night, or making your shoulder hurt? What if we were just with whatever was? I'm feeling all these non-holiday feelings. I'm frustrated. I'm angry. I'm really sad. There's a little bit of other things from the pandemic creeping in that I don't think I'm supposed to feel. Like I'm feeling kind of free with my time, and I'm feeling kind of, shall we say, lazy. Does that mean I should feel guilty? No. It's like, oh my goodness. Do I not listen to myself on Sundays? Of course I'm not supposed to feel guilty. Neither are you. We feel what we feel because we're human. And we are called to remember that we are also more than human. That the divinity within us holds us up, encompasses us, loves us through anything and everything. Now, I've had holidays, as we all have, where loss has been present. The first Thanksgiving after my grandmother died, that was rough. Anytime there's been a change in circumstances, or the kids are away at college and can't come home for Christmas break, or anything that disrupts the traditions that we hold so dear, it brings with it a sense of loss. But it's always been balanced out by the connections that we're able to make, right? By the festivities, by the food, by the, in my Italian family, the sheer noise in the house. All of that serves to counterbalance that which is sad or feels like something's missing. It's just that we're kind of all missing something at the same time. When Pat and I first got together, I gave her a card, and on the outside it said something about being so grateful that, when I'm down, you're up. And if you're down, I'll be up for you. And then you open it up, and inside is a picture of a toaster with 2 pieces of bread in it. And it says, if we're ever down at the same time, we're toast. Guys, we're all down at the same time, right? It doesn't look the same for each of us. But we are all dealing with this cultural environment that has been less than supportive for months. And so, when I look at what it is I really want from the holidays, I'm looking for the love and the laughter of all those people together, right? But what I know from Science of Mind is that it's not that I'm going to treat for a thing or something too specific. What I really want to treat for is the feeling I want to have. And what is the feeling that I get when I'm surrounded by family and friends? It's a sense of belonging. When I sit down to the meal and I smell all the smells, and Aunt Carm brought the sweet potato thing she does, that food It's not really about the sweet potatoes. I mean, it is, but not really. It's about the comfort and the nourishment and the familiar. That's what I'm looking for. When I see gifts piled up under the tree, of course, I want to get what I want to get. But what I really want is that sense of abundance, that overflow that leads to giving and receiving, that exchange of love in visible form. That's what my soul is craving. That's what my human self wants to experience. And when I think about going home for Christmas, it's about that sense of peace that happens when I walk in the front door. What I'm figuring out this year is that what has happened in the past, the way I've done it before, the way it used to look, is less important than how I want to feel this season, this moment. Because you see, we are still connected. We are still connected. But our feelings are a little bit all over the map, right? Think about it for a moment. Just the last few weeks, maybe just since Thanksgiving. You know, the elections are over. How are you feeling about that? We've been in the Corona coaster, they call it, the pandemic ups and downs for 9 months. How are you feeling? Our Safer at Home order in Southern California begins tonight at midnight. We're being asked once again to stay home. How does that make you feel? You see, we have to know how we feel because it affects how we think and speak and act. We have to know how we feel because it is only through the heart that we're going to tap into the power of the spiritual nature of our being that is going to carry us through, that is going to bring us to a place of healing, that's going to allow us to extend a hand and help someone else get through this time. Science of Mind teaches us over and over and over again to look beyond appearances, to see beneath the surface, beyond what is here in front of us in the physical, to see as in to understand what else is happening. We're called to connect with the unseen, with that which is like love and peace and a deep joy and even our sorrow or our anger or our fear in order to know ourselves better so that we might know God, so that we might find our way back to the spiritual energy of life which sustains us. We're called in our seeing to recognize the sparks of light, those places where we get a glimpse of that connection, that relationship, that joy of living. Like that one over there. You know, we're called to notice the sunlight in the trees, the waves on the beach, the poinsettias in the vases. We're called to pay attention to where the light is so that we might bring it to where it is not. These dark times of winter, granted in Southern California it's a little hard to imagine, but you didn't all grow up here. Maybe you went to school back east. Maybe you've been in 6 months of winter, as they say in Ohio. Snow and slush and cold and rain and dark. Dark, dark, dark. It is because of the darkness that we celebrate the light. It's not instead of. We're not meant to live all the time in the light when we are still tied to a human experience, because in this human experience there is a spectrum, and that spectrum is all God. We are called to bring the light, to be the light, to understand and bring understanding to how we are connected, whether we see it or not, whether we're next to each other or not, whether we have something to share or we need to receive something. The call is our spiritual nature wanting to find its way back to love. And it always starts with ourselves. To give ourselves a break. To let ourselves have those lazy moments. To understand that those 3 jobs that have been on your to-do list for 3 weeks and you have absolutely no excuse for not getting them done because you're not going anywhere, so you might as well just do them, and you haven't done them, to let that be okay. I'm not the only one, right? Okay, just checking. You see, it's our nature to love. In fact, love is our nature. To love ourselves, to love others, to love the world we live in, to express it as kindness and compassion, to share what we have, to rejoice in each other's joys, to stand with each other in our sorrows. That is the love that life is. And we can find our way back to love when we feel disconnected or isolated or lonely. We find our way back through the doorway of any feeling. Any feeling will get us there. We find our way back past any disguise that 2020 can hand us. Anything that looks like scarcity, that's a disguise. Because truth is the abundance of life, and we are that. Later this month, we celebrate Hanukkah. And this is a reading I've shared in the past, but again, I just found it so appropriate this week when talking about the darkness and the light. So Rabbi Shai Held, in an article in the Huffington Post, was talking about Hanukkah. And he was saying that, he was talking about how the Jewish holidays are celebrated on a lunar calendar. And most of those fall when the moon is full. So the moon is full and bright, and that is when the holiday takes place. But not Hanukkah. Hanukkah happens on the 25th of the Jewish month when the moon has all but completely disappeared. And guys, I got to tell you, sometimes this year, the moon and the sun both have all but completely disappeared in terms of hope and expectancy and joy. He says, we're in one of the darkest periods of one of the darkest months of the year. All around us is darkness. And what do? We light a fire. Not a bonfire, but a small fire. Now one, now another, and another. Because at Hanukkah, every night you light a candle. The next night you light 2 candles, and then 3 candles for 8 days. He says, in other words, we do not pretend to be the sun, but only stars. We do not bring an end to the darkness, but we soften its effects. The book of Proverbs tells us the soul of man is the lamp of God. What this means is that ultimately our task is not to light candles, but to be candles. We have the potential to be the bits of light that help bring God back into a world gone dark. To bring a spiritual awareness into the circumstances of our lives and the lives of those we love. That is what we're called to do. That is our purpose here, is to be that light. To recognize those guiding stars that take us through the desert, bringing their gifts. We are all of that. Being able to see family faces from a distance is something of the light. Did anybody this year participate in a creative drive-by event? Graduation, birthday, anybody do that with the balloons and the signs and the honking of the horns? My 10-year-old niece got her 10-year-old birthday party via a car parade that her grandparents led. Those are glimpses of the light. Those are connections that 2020 has called out of us. We have a flourishing creativity going on this year. We are adapting. We are making it work. We are finding ways to be the love that we are because we can't help ourselves. And whether it's through the newfangled Zoom or the old-fashioned writing a letter because we know that'll get delivered, we are reaching out and touching each other, touching heart to heart, even when we can't touch hand to hand. So we bring our greenery into the house in the dead of winter when it looks like nothing is blooming. We light the Yule log for warmth and light in the darkest of days. And I invite you this season to go ahead and sing along. Even if that song was your loved one's favorite and you're missing them and your heart hurts, sing loud. You can be the sadness and the joy at the same time. Go ahead, enjoy the Costco pie, even though it reminds you of your great aunt whose pie you can no longer partake of. Go ahead and enjoy the pie. We are both. We are in the stable of all things inclusive. Because you know what it comes down to is that love is here. It's right here. Whether we can hug and kiss or not, whether we can be in the same room or see each other on a tiny little screen, it's still love. It's still who we are. Because love isn't dependent on time and space. It doesn't matter if we're far away or close together. Sure, it's nice to be together. But not together doesn't mean not loved. Love transcends even death. We find our connections in our own hearts. And the more we can open to whatever's going on in there, the more love we will find, the more ways to express it we will come up with, the more creative connections we'll be able to make. For it is truly the ultimate power of life, right here within us. So go beyond the list of 2020's don'ts. Just go right on past that. Look above. We talked last week about looking up. There's a quote here for this week that says the holiday season draws our chins up and helps us look above and over the limiting fence of our own preoccupations. Look up. Allow yourself to awaken to the infinite possibilities of connection, even this year, even right now, even within where you will always find your way back, feel your way back to tidings of comfort and joy. Namaste. So I invite you to join me in prayer. Closing your eyes and once again taking a breath. Feeling the sun on your skin, or if you're at home, feeling the warmth of the heater, or maybe the breeze through the window. Being present here and now in this physical form. Letting go of past and future. Letting go of problems and solutions. Letting go of anything except the joy in this moment, right here, right now. For it is here that we become aware of the presence of the One, the source of all good, the love that life is. And in this place of love and remembering, reminding ourselves of this greater truth, we also know that we each are the life of spirit in form. And so the love that is lives in me. It lives in everyone here. It lives in everyone and everything, for it is life itself. And I speak my word for this love to roll forth from me, around me, in me, through me, and out into the world and back again. A growing awareness of the possibilities that love brings for healing, for hope, for connection, for truth to be revealed. For this is the place of life, where we are nourished and cared for, where we are nurtured and lifted up. And through our own hands and feet and faces, masks or no masks, where we lift each other up, where we connect one to another for a greater good, for a greater expression, to be the love, the light, the candle that life is in us, as us. And it is good, and I am grateful. Grateful for every face shining brightly in this community. Grateful for the love that I see all around me, for every commercial that makes me cry, for every tear, for every cry for help that is answered, for every opportunity I have to give, to share, to be present, and to receive it from others. I am grateful. Grateful beyond measure for this life which overflows with all that is good, even now, even this year, even this holiday season is holy. So I release my word into this sacred space, knowing that it is all good, for it is all God, and it unfolds in space and time for our human experience, from and through and as the one source in each of us. And I simply allow that to be and call it good, and so it is. So I want to ask you, what would you like to affirm today? Call out a word. What are you affirming today?
Health.
Health.
Joy.
Joy.
Peace.
Peace.
Perfect love.
Perfect love. Peace of mind. I know it all to be true right here, right now, and expanding every day. And so it is. All right. So, announcements. Let's see what kind of invitations we have. Well, here's the first invitation. It kind of sounds like it's not an invitation, because what I'm telling you is that we're probably not going to be together in person for our candlelight service, which I know I look forward to every year, and so do you. But it's really not feasible, because what do we do in our candlelight service? We all sing together, don't we? And guess what's on the list of 2020 don'ts? Don't sing. You all spit when you sing. That's the problem. See, if you could stop doing that, no, I'm just kidding. However, we do want to have a candlelight service. You may join us from the comfort of your own home. All you need is a candle and your presence. Now, there are several of you, actually there are many of you, that may not have partaken in any of our Zoom events yet. You haven't been online, maybe something you're not comfortable with. Maybe your grandson showed you once, and then of course you totally forgot how to do it. What I want you to know is that we have people here who will help you so that you can participate with us. We want everyone to be able to experience that beautiful service that we love to do every year. So, Patty and Mary are your main contacts. You tell them that you need a little help. If you have a Mac, don't talk to Mary, talk to Patty. If you have a PC or a tablet or something else, go talk to Mary. That's fine. They'll figure it out. They'll help you. If you don't know what you have, that's okay. We can still get you online, okay? So talk to them. Reach out to the office if you miss them today, or if you're at home. You can always call in. Let us know you need some help. We'll get you practiced up so you know how to get on there, and we'll make sure that our candlelight service is as beautiful and glorious as it can possibly be, hopefully with all of you there. All right. I also want to announce there was an e-blast that just went out this week. The celebration of life for Reverend Lee is taking place next Sunday afternoon via Zoom. Another reason to know how to get online. I know that most of you knew her, and she was much loved. So the center in Riverside is doing her celebration online next Sunday afternoon. If you don't get the email, just call the office. Andy has all the information for you to help you get logged on there.
Did you say Reverend Lee?
Yes, Reverend Lee. She made her transition last month. Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry if you didn't know that. Okay, let's see. What else do we have? Wednesday night. Mary, what are we doing Wednesday night this week? Do we know?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, Wednesday night is a surprise. Be there. It'll be fun. It always is. Okay? We'll know by the end of today. Okay, so we'll figure it out before you get online on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock for our Gateway service. It is always fun. We have great discussions and always learn something. So it's always a good thing. And I think the last thing I wanted to mention is that I think everyone here is on the list. You would have gotten a letter from your board and your minister this week with a picture of our beautiful Christmas tree in our sanctuary from last year. Close your eyes for a minute and just remember how pretty that was. With all the little gift tags on it, the blessing tree. And it's just letting you know that we are here in the garden today. We'll be back again in 2 weeks. So even with the Safer at Home order, we are allowed to meet for services as long as we are spread out, wearing masks in the garden outdoors. But we won't do any other gatherings in person, okay? So it lets you know that the 20th will be here at 10 a.m. again. Otherwise, we're online, as we have been. And we ask for you to keep us in mind when you make your end-of-year donations. We, as a congregation, have continued to support this community, this physical property, the water bill, the insurance, all the really glamorous parts of a community center. We've been able to do that all year long, and we want to start next year like we did this year with a little money in the bank so that we're ready for 2021, because I think we learned this year that pretty much anything can happen. And it's nice to know that we're prepared, that we are ready, that we are setting a visible intention of abundance. So if you can, find it in your hearts to donate a little extra, to send in an extra contribution for the end of the year. We appreciate it. And as you know, your regular contributions, there's a basket up here by the gate and also on the back table. And we'll take care of that for you, or mail it in, or PayPal online, or whatever works for you. Because the truth is, when we give back to what feeds us, we grow what we get from. Does that make sense? It's like we're fertilizing the plant. And I love seeing all of you, and I want to see you all next year too. In this garden, in this space. And with those friends at home, able to come back in person. We're getting there. We're getting there. I don't want today's talk to make it sound like there's no hope. We have lots of little lights starting to flash on. There are vaccines coming. There are ways to mitigate the spread, which we maybe didn't know at the beginning. We're setting this particular travel restriction and so forth for just 3 weeks to see where we stand. I think we really are rounding the corner at this point. So I invite you to hang in there, and if you need support, remember to reach out. We love you. We want to support you, and I am just so happy to see all of you here and to see all of you at home. So thank you, and until next week, remember, you are loved.